Let's talk about tithing then, following from this conversation. You used to be a believer in tithing. The general principle of tithing is that it is a commandment of God from the Bible. It was first done by Abraham to Melchizedek. It was expected to sustain and promote Abraham's wealth. It has been used by pastors to say that the devourer will be rebuked for your sake. Did you say some of these things? Did you used to say some of these things?
Now, this is the foundation you need to understand about me. When I came into the ministry, learning from those that were ahead of me. So whatever they taught, I taught. Whatever they did, I did. As a young pastor growing, I didn't check the Bible for myself. I just copied from what I saw them do.
You didn't read the Bible?
I read, but not with the lenses that I was supposed to read with. Because all I knew was what I was taught. But I grew in ministry. And then I looked at the book again and I began to check some things. And I discovered some.
So you preached the pro-tithe message before?
Oh yes, I did.
And you told people to bring their tithe to the church?
Very radically. And I asked people to pay their tithes.
Did people come to complain to you in those days that they were paying their tithe and they were not seeing results?
Oh, some of them. Myself inclusive. I was paying my tithe.
And you were not seeing results?
Yes, I was paying my tithe.
When you say you're not seeing results, what does it mean?
Again, so what is results? What's your definition of
because
results?
Because it says, the church has been told that if you pay your tithe, you open the windows of heaven, you pour out blessing to you, you will not even have enough place to keep it.
But can I be honest with you? So many tithers, 90% tithers have room in their houses that has not been filled. So it's
you mean 90% of tithers have not received that blessing?
Their houses are not filled to overflowing like Malachi promised.
But the blessing of the tithe, is it only money? He said, rebuke the devourer for your sake.
And
that's not money.
He will give you blessings that you will not have enough store.
Yes, but the rebuke the devourer is not money. So
but
maybe
you
didn't see money.
You don't need to tithe for the devourer to be rebuked.
No, I'll come to that. But I'm saying that the scripture that they have used contains this information.
3,
yes,
that Malachi
it contains
3.
that
but
information.
But again, it's good to clarify.
Yeah.
Who was Malachi 3 addressed to?
Tell us.
It was not addressed to believers. It was addressed to priests, pastors who are collecting tithe and are not paying tithe. So Malachi said to those pastors, you have robbed me.
Yes.
People pay you tithe, you are not tithing the tithe.
To who?
The priests were to pay tithe to senior priests.
So that's biblical?
Yes, biblical.
Priests to pay tithe to senior priests.
In the law of Moses, yes.
So
and
in
they
the law of Moses,
and they were taking the tithes from the people, but they were not paying their own.
The priesthood was restricted to a certain tribe.
The Levites.
Yeah, the Levites.
Yes.
In the law. So this is about the Levites.
Yes.
So it's about you are saying Malachi 3
is addressed to the Levites.
It's addressed to the Levites who were not tithing.
Yes, not to believers.
Not to believers.
Yes.
But you, in the context that you explained, you already have found that believers were tithing. You said the believers tithed to the priest and the priests were not tithing.
Exactly.
So the Bible had recognized the believers tithing.
Yes.
And the believers were tithing as according to the law.
Yes.
Okay. Has that law changed?
But you need to also know that there are 3 tithes.
Before I come to 3 tithes, let's stay with this one.
Okay. The law has changed.
You're explaining to us that Malachi is not about believers.
Yes, so the law has changed.
So that law,
it has changed.
By which the believers were tithing to the priests.
It has changed.
It has changed?
Yes.
Who changed it?
Hebrews chapter 7. I can read it for you.
Hebrews chapter 7 changed Malachi.
Yes, Hebrews chapter 7.
What did he say?
He said because there is a change of the law, there is also a change of the priesthood.
But Jesus Christ said, he has not come to change the law, but to fulfill it.
What's the meaning of fulfill?
Now Jesus in Hebrew,
the question
who should we take?
So the question is, what's the meaning of the word fulfill? Because the Bible is not an English book, it has its own language.
So where is it coming from?
Fulfill.
Where's the picture coming from? He says, I have not come.
The word fulfill is not your English fulfill.
What is it?
The word fulfill there is, I am not come to destroy the law, Matthew 5:7.
Yes.
But to satisfy the demands of the law. That's the word.
How is that different from fulfill? In the context of what changes
is different. Because to fulfill the demands of the law means the Lord demanded something in the Old Testament that nobody could satisfy. So Jesus
righteousness. Is it righteousness?
Yes, righteousness.
The Lord demanded righteousness.
Righteousness by works, and nobody could meet the works that were required by the law.
Yes.
So Jesus met all the demands, satisfied the law, and took the law out of the way. Romans 10:4. Christ is the end of the law for righteousness.
Absolutely.
To everyone who believes. So he took the law.
So which of the laws did he change? All of it?
He changed all the laws of Moses, 612.
So obey thy father, thy mother and father, and your days may be long. Has been replaced with what?
That's not the law. Honor your father and mother is the 10 commandments. The 10 commandments are different from the laws.
What is the law?
The law of Moses was 612. The 10 commandments were only 10.
When Jesus says, I have come to fulfill the law, he's referring to 600. He's not referring to 10 commandments. The 10 commandments didn't change.
They didn't change.
That's confusing. Because the 10 commandments, how do you lead me to that path? That Jesus says, I've come to change the fulfill. The law he refers to is not 10 commandments. So why is it written that this law that Jesus refers to is 613 laws of Moses?
Yes. Why is it? Because in the New Testament, which is actually the interpretation of the Old Testament. Old Testament, Jesus conceived. New Testament, Jesus revealed. Old Testament, types, shadows, prophecies, promises. New Testament, types, shadows, prophecies, promises fulfilled in the reality, which is Christ. Now, so when you read the Old Testament has two things. The law of Moses, which is 613 laws, and has blessings and curses attached. The 10 commandments, which were given by the angels on the mountain, which does not have curses attached, only blessings. Jesus comes and talks about them in the New Testament, in the Gospel, as 2 commandments. Love the Lord your God, love your neighbor, which becomes the lifestyle of the believer in the New Testament. The love word.
So Jesus amended the 630 into 2.
No, he didn't amend. Actually, he didn't amend. He abolished the 613 laws.
Into 2 now.
No, he abolished them.
All of them.
He took them out.
You haven't shown me where he said he's abolishing them.
Oh, in the book of Hebrews again.
Jesus said, I am abolishing.
The book of Hebrews. Who wrote Hebrews? Now, who wrote Hebrews? Yes. We don't know who wrote Hebrews.
So why do you say
who was the later written?
Why do you say
non-believing Jews will be believing Jews?
You don't know who Hebrews letter was written to?
They were believing Jews, non-believing Jews will be believing Jews. But why was the book of Hebrews written?
But what is written in Hebrews that suggests that Jesus said, I am abandoned?
Hebrews chapter 8.
What did he say?
He says, he has taken away the old that he may establish the new. That if the old covenant had been faultless, there would be no need for the new. But because finding fault with them, God said, I will take away the old covenant and I will give you the new.
But covenant, was it with Moses or was it with Abraham?
The old covenant started with Abraham,
yes,
but Moses became a partaker of it, of course.
Well, all of us have become partakers there.
We are not partakers of the old covenant.
Now, so this
we are partakers
of
the new covenant.
The written, the Hebrews writing, which says the covenant, it should be reference to Abraham, because it was with Abraham that the word covenant was used. That God had a covenant with Abraham. Didn't Christ say God had a covenant with Moses?
He did.
That a covenant with Moses, it says so?
Yeah.
Okay, so in there it says covenant in Hebrews. Why are you saying it's Moses but it's not Abraham?
Well, again, Moses was possibly amplified the old covenant, because Moses was the one who gave the covenant to the children of Israel in the day when they left Egypt to the promised land.
The 600 is a covenant.
The 612 laws are not the covenant.
Yes.
They are not the covenant.
Yes, so but the Hebrew says he has changed the old covenant. He didn't say the laws.
Now, you see, this will require a lot of explanation. Okay, and I don't think we have the time, because when it comes to doctrinal subjects, it takes time to interpret and explain. And we have to have scriptures.
I think this is quite simple, Prophet. The word covenant is used. Jesus says, I've come to change the covenant.
No,
you
he didn't say I've come to change the covenant.
That's what you told me that he said in Hebrews.
I said in the book of Hebrews, God took away the old covenant to establish the new one.
How do you know
Hebrews chapter 8 is right there.
What did he say? What are the words?
He says, this is the covenant that I will make with your fathers.
So he used the word covenant.
And what's the word covenant?
Now the covenant he made with our fathers was made with Abraham.
The covenant
and it has to do with the circumcision.
So the covenant there is not your English covenant. And the covenant had nothing to do with the circumcision. The word covenant is the Hebrew word epangelia. Epangelia means a self-fulfilling promise. That is, God made a promise to Abraham that only God will fulfill. He didn't need Abraham to have any part in the fulfillment of that promise, epangelia. And that self-fulfilling promise.
So the word covenant is not appropriate.
It's not the English covenant. It's Bible covenant, which is epangelia from the original.
Fair enough. How does it then refer to Moses excluding Abraham?
Well, he will refer to Moses excluding Abraham because Moses is the father of the law. The law was given by Moses. The law was given
The scripture said covenant, it didn't say law.
Well, again, you need to understand that under the old covenant, where Moses operated, he gave laws under that covenant.
So we should understand covenant in Hebrews to mean the law of Moses.
No, plus the promise of God. All of that context,
however, the Ten Commandments remain sacrosanct. That hasn't changed.
Remain sacrosanct.
Where do you get that from?
That's what the Bible teaches.
That the Ten Commandments remain sacrosanct.
Yes.
The law of Moses has gone.
That's why Paul in Ephesians will say to children, honor your father and mother, for this is the great commandment with a promise, not with a curse.
When Jesus Christ said, I have come to fulfill the law, he was
come
asked
to meet the demands of God.
Yes, when he said that, he was asked questions about the Ten Commandments. He wasn't asked questions about the law of Moses.
No.
He was asked questions about a man has done so.
No. He was giving you the law. He said, you have heard it has been said of old, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not covet your neighbor's stuff. But I say,
and these are all the laws, not the Ten Commandments.
These are the laws.
The Ten Commandments doesn't have thou shalt not commit adultery.
Well, the Ten Commandments have thou shalt not commit adultery. But remember, the spirit of the Ten Commandments is love for God and love for your neighbor. So actually, the Ten Commandments is a love war.
No, I'm confused. Ten Commandments has those things you listed. Then when Jesus said, have you not been told? All the things Jesus listed are contained in the Ten Commandments.
So the New Testament.
You say that Jesus didn't change the
So the New Testament interprets the Old Testament. In the New Testament, which is the interpretation of the Old Testament, things are made clearer. The law is set apart from the Ten Commandments. The teaching of the Ten Commandments is a love walk. Thou shalt love the Lord your God. Thou shalt love your neighbor as yourself. Now, when I love you, I will steal from you. When I love you, I will not be from you.
That's my point here.
So the point
is, my point is the distinction between the law of Moses and the Ten Commandments. Yes. You say the law of Moses is gone.
Yes.
But the Ten Commandments is not gone because now Jesus Christ is the one who said that I have come to fulfill the law. And when he said it, he was talking about the Ten Commandments.
No, he wasn't.
Okay. I will say that he was talking about Ten Commandments. No, it's the things that he predicted the statement, as you yourself have just said. Thou shalt not, all the thou shalt not he said. When he was telling his audience that you have heard that they said thou shalt not do XYZ. Those XYZ was a direct reference to the Ten Commandments. You say that those prohibitions, thou shalt not, those prohibitions, you say, whilst I in the Ten Commandments, you say I also contain in the law of Moses.
But you see, the point is, you're asking me questions and you're not giving me enough time to explain the answers.
I just want to clarify. Ten Commandments.
So for you to get clarity, I've got to explain. And I'll need all the time.
Let's explain one more, then we move to tithe.
Okay, so good. Old Testament, where we have the Ten Commandments and the law of Moses. So remember, when God gave Moses the Ten Commandments were put in the Ark of the Covenant. When Moses gave the law, 613 laws, they were put outside the Ark of the Covenant. Outside the Ark of the Covenant, because that was Moses' law to the children of Israel. John chapter 1 verse 17. The law was given by Moses, but grace which is true came by Jesus Christ. So there's a difference, clear-cut difference between the Ten Commandments and the law of Moses. The Ten Commandments have no curses. The law of Moses has curses attached. Deuteronomy 28 lists all the curses that come along with the law. So what Jesus came to fulfill was the law and take it out of the way.
But we still have the Ten Commandments.
The Ten Commandments,
this is our love that we should obey.
Well, the obedience of the Ten Commandments is what Christ has done in the heart of the believer. The Bible says you have obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine which you have received. Philippians 2 says, work out your salvation. Verse 13 says, for it is God that worketh in you, both to will and to do of his good pleasure. So there's the outworking of Christ's life in the believer, which is reflected in the love walk.
Okay, so Ten Commandments is 2. Love thy Lord thy God with all thy heart. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Law of Moses, gone. Tithe was in the law of Moses.
Tithe was in the law of Moses.
So it's gone.
Tithe is gone because in the New Testament church, there was no tithing. Ephesians chapter 2 verse 20. He says that in the New Testament is built on the foundation of the apostles and the prophets. Jesus himself being the cornerstone, which means Christianity is apostolic and historic, which means what Jesus never did, we're not supposed to do. What the apostles never did, we're not supposed to do. What they did, we're supposed to do because it's apostolic and historic. So in the New Testament,
Jesus never spoke in tongues. Or we take that for granted. apostles did and what the apostles did. Okay, I'll come to that about that. So the tithing has been taken out.
The tithing has been taken
For the reason that what? It is unrighteous?
but no, for the reason that there's a legalism in it. That legalism is what Jesus took out. But there are lessons from the tithe. Romans chapter 15 verse 4 tells us
I need to break that down. The legalism of the tithe is what
has been
Jesus took.
taken away.
That if you don't pay the tithe, you don't
You're
get
under
this.
a curse.
That if you don't do this, you don't get this.
That has
been taken out. Whatever the tithe provides,
Yes.
you can get it without tithing.
Whatever the tithe, sure, you
Yes.
can get it from
Whatever
God.
they told you, the
Without-
promises that they gave you,
You get it from God without tithe.
without tithing. You don't need to
Yes.
tithe for that.
Yes.
Okay. However, if you tithe, there's nothing wrong with it.
No, there's nothing wrong with the tithe.
Okay.
Nothing is wrong with tithing.
But
Tithing
you
is
won't
just-
get